Creative Podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. I have quite a bit to share with you today. Well, not quite a bit actually, a little bit. I just wanted to share a bit of an update of what I've been getting up to. I have a bit of knitting, a bit of sewing, and a bit of spinning. But yeah, so I am a bit sleep deprived. I've got a 3-month-old baby. And so the time for being creative is a lot less than I'm used to. So I've kind of been finding it hard to get the time to really focus on anything that isn't just knitting, basic knitting, let alone time to record these videos. So yeah, we'll see how much I manage to get through this before the baby wakes up. He started napping not very much during the day, but we've had kind of a late night, well, actually more like an incredibly early morning, and I'm hoping that the nap is going to be longer than 20 minutes, so we shall see. It's quite late in the day in early November, so it's a bit dark and I've turned all the lights on, so hopefully it's bright enough, because I do these videos quite not high tech, it's just on my phone, so hopefully it's good enough for you to be able to see me. It's getting quite hard to find time during the day when the baby's asleep and it's light to actually record these videos, so we shall see how we get on. So I'm going to start with a new work in progress. Now I'm going to start with a finished object. And that is this one. So this is my retro button tank by Witre Designs. I think that's how you say it. Just noting some bits in the back that I'm not that keen on. So I'm just checking the noise I heard. It's just him turning over, it's fine. And I knit this in the recommended yarn, which I think is Sanna's Garn Lena. And I will put the colour number below. And I knit the smallest size, which at the time when I cast it on was my bust size, but as I'm breastfeeding it might have changed a bit. And the main body is blocked, but the finishing of the edges is not. So that's why I've still got all the ends. Because of how you knit it, and then pick up and do like the armholes, the neckband, the front and back, there's lots of ends to weave in, so there's lots of ends to trim off. I have woven in all the ends and sewn the buttons on, but I wanted to give it one last block before trimming the ends off. So I believe, from what I can remember, it's a linen blend yarn. I think linen and cotton. And yeah, so it's finished. I cast this on before the baby was born and I wanted to finish it in the summer so I could wear it. I thought it would be really good for breastfeeding because the button's down the front and because it's a tank top. Didn't finish it before the baby was born. I only finished it like last week, so I haven't worn it because obviously now it's too cold. So it will go away for the next season, but it's really pretty and I really like it, and I ended up using vintage buttons to finish it down the front. So yeah, finally finished. So that one has been on the go for ages. So that's my finished object. Yeah, I don't think I made any changes. I might have knit it a bit longer in the body than the pattern suggested, because it looked really cropped. I'm hoping it is still cropped and I can wear it with high-waisted things in the summer. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it looks. I think I will wear it a lot when it's warm again next year. And I guess I might still be breastfeeding occasionally at that point, because it won't even be a year old. Yeah, I think. I don't know. We shall see. Yeah, that's my only finished object. And I finished knitting the body ages ago. I just had to sit down and actually pick up everything and do the finishings. And I am nearly finished on my first of these socks. Just drop a stitch marker. I put that in the little pouch. So this project bag is from Woodsy and Wild and I won it in a giveaway ages ago. Not a giveaway, a prize for a knit along. And I really like it actually, and it's been through the wash a few times and it's held up well. And this is a Quilty cabin sock. I shared it last time. I'm knitting it in 2 strands of the Le Sock yarn by Biches, the Festive Autumn or Autumn Crush or something like that colourway. And it's kind of my project I have in the bottom of the pram, so if I'm out with him and he falls asleep and I have some time, I do a bit of knitting. And I'm nearly at the point where I've gotten to the toe, so hopefully by next time the first one will be done. And I kind of think I'm going to make these my Christmas socks for this year. Every year I try and knit a pair of socks. That didn't happen last year because around, well, the lead up to Christmas was the sickest part I felt of my first trimester. I felt absolutely dreadful for pretty much the whole of December. I could barely eat over Christmas, which made me quite sad. And so actually I was really struggling to knit. For some reason knitting made me feel a bit ill. I think it was the concentration, and knitting something tiny on fine needles made me feel diabolically terrible. So I didn't. So I started one of my Christmas socks. I didn't actually finish them, I don't think, until January or February. So I think realistically I'm probably not going to finish that sock until the end of November. So probably by the time I've knit the second sock it will be around Christmas anyway. So I think that is going to become this year's Christmas sock knitting, and at least realistically I might finish them by Christmas. I hope. So that's the Quilty sock pattern. I'll put who it's by below. And then I have a new cast on along with an acquisition. So what should I do first? Acquisition. I am a sucker for a gorgeous project bag. I have a little bit of a collection, which I justify because I have a million projects on the go at once. And this is by a maker called Harriet Wildwood. And I have, in a larger size, one of her Christmas themed bags, which I bought a couple of years ago. I think I partially traded with her, like I sent her some stitch markers for like a partial exchange. I paid for half of it, and but then gave her some stitch markers for like a bigger size. I think it was the shawl size. I don't think it was the biggest sweater size. Although I think I can fit most of a jumper project in there. Anyway, her bags are gorgeous quality. I love her, like all of her bags are so beautiful, but the price does reflect the craftsmanship. So it's not something that I can just buy on a spare of the moment, but especially now I'm on mat leave. But she had a 20% sale off on her Halloween themed bags the other day. And so I did treat myself to a sock sized Halloween one. And it's so pretty. I love how the pattern on the pumpkin looks a little bit like knitting. I mean, not, but it does. And it's got mushrooms, and it's got this moth, and it's got these gorgeous flowers, and it's teal, and I just love it. And all of her bags have like Harris tweed fabric on the bottom, or like wool. And then the top is a printed cotton. And then inside is like a sort of complementary printed cotton as well, and they're just so well made. And it has like the Harris tweed label inside, and they're a zip top. Most of my project bags are drawstring, so it's quite nice having a zip top, especially for like smaller projects. I mean, I know my stripy one has a zip top as well, and I find that really good for like sock knitting and things like that because the needles and everything are much finer. And she also sent me 3 lavender pillows. And I'll put a photo in because the reason why she did is because I really love mushrooms and I really love mice. And I asked her if she was, because she did some project bags with that print, and I was going to get a notions pouch because my notions pouch is falling apart in that fabric, but she didn't have any. But she did say she had some lavender pillow sized scraps, and so she, as a new mother gift, was going to send me a couple of lavender pillows made of that fabric. Typically the one I have in this bag is the one with leaves on, so I'll put a picture in. But I have to be honest, even her lavender pillows are really well made. I'm trying to find where she stitched it up to close it up. It looks like it's this side, and it's still really neat. I can't see the stitches, and they're really well stuffed and robust and smell amazing. So Harriet Wildwood, if you're in the need for a new project bag, buy from her. She is incredible. Anyway, the project I have in it is very appropriately a very autumnal project, and I don't know how well you're going to see the colours in this light because they're very subtle. But I am working on a Find Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry, using last year's advent calendar by Knotty Pine Fibre Co, which was my biggest knitting splurge ever, because I absolutely love her yarn and I love the colours, and it's so earthy and grungy and beautiful. And I think I'm nearly at the halfway point. So this is what I've been working on mostly. I know I have that cardigan which I need to pick up and finish, but if I'm honest, it's not bringing me the love right now, and I really wanted to knit up last year's advent before I get this year's advent, which is not from Knotty Pine Fibre Co. I cannot afford that at the moment. But earlier in the year, when everyone was doing the call for advent, I did treat myself to a UK-based advent, and I'm really excited because I don't think it's purely wool. I think it's just knitter-related goodies and a lot of undyed, minimally processed wool and fleece, I think. So very exciting. So this is the Find Your Fade pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I think it's designed for using 3 or 4 full 100 gram skeins, or not full skeins, but a lot more of full colours rather than an advent calendar. And so I'm doing around 18 rows per mini. I did start out by doing like stripes to fade between one and the next, but I found that the colours were so close together that I didn't really feel like it was necessary, so I stopped. But then some of the colours, like this one, do stand out, and I didn't really like how strong that change was, so I have started doing the stripy fade thing again. So hopefully the colours blend a little bit more. I'll try and remember to take a photo and put it on the screen so that you can see a bit more clearly the gorgeous colours. And I also shared last time I'm actually storing the balls, the mini balls, because I've just started this one. They're not that big when you hand wind them. I'm storing them in an egg box and numbering the cavities so that I can keep track of which day and which order the fade goes in. And I shared how I'm doing that in my last video, so if you want to see visually what I'm talking about, go have a look at that. Because there's going to be a lot of leftovers. I have a lot more yarn in the advent than the scarf actually needs, so there'll be lots of leftovers. I'm probably going to do some socks and other things using that yarn, which was part of the motivation for treating myself to that advent, because I knew I'd be able to get like one big thing out of it, like a shawl, and then I'll have lots of beautiful leftovers for socks and other things like that, which, if I'm honest, is what I really want to knit with the yarn, because it is superwash merino nylon blend, so suitable for socks. Yeah, so that's all of my knitting at the moment, and then I thought I would share with you how I'm getting on with my spinning. So I haven't yet actually knit up any of the yarn I've spun. I've spun 2 skeins, so I really probably should. I just can't really decide what I want to knit up with that yarn. But I did start spinning. I had a little bit of time the other morning, and I started spinning up this fibre from Hilltop Katie, which is the only excuse me, I have a bit of sore throat and I really should have brought a glass of water with me and I haven't. All the fibre I've spun so far has been from Hilltop Katie. I've spun a Corriedale, a Shetland and a Cormo. Didn't really enjoy spinning the Shetland. For some reason it had lots of like bobbly bits in it. I don't know whether that's all Shetland or just her one or just the braid I had. I've knit with Shetland before and that was really lovely. But this is a merino Corriedale blend, I think, in like different shades of brown. And I have spun half of it into singles, and I am nearly halfway through the second bobbin of singles. It's going to be just under 100 grams because I did a little bit on the spindle badly, so it might be like 90 grams or something like that. And I might knit something for my baby boy with it because it's quite a plain yarn. So yeah, I might knit him a cowl. Oh, I thought that was baby crying. It's outside. It's another person's baby crying. I might knit him a cowl or something for when he's a bit older. I don't know. Or stripe it with something else and make him a stripy cardigan or jumper. Oh, actually, I'd quite like this colour striped with cream. Maybe that would make a really nice jumper for when he's a bit bigger. We'll see. It surprises me actually how much yarn you need for a not newborn garment. 100 grams doesn't actually go as far as you think. Yeah, and so that's kind of my knitting so far. I do have a knitting related acquisition, which was a generous giveaway prize thing. So my Quilty socks I entered in the Patchwork Knit Along by Under Eagle Mountain. I think that's her name. I'll put it below. And I won this month's giveaway, which was a project bag that she made. It's a really big one. And a sock set, naturally dyed. So this is my sock set. So I need to think of a nice pattern to use. I do have quite a lot of naturally dyed minis from Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co in her sock blend. So I could potentially add another colour. But yeah, so she sent these to me. I believe that this is dyed with walnut and this says it's sage with iron. And they're really lovely colours. So thank you for that lovely gift. I was also, which I'm not really going to share until I start using it, sent an incredibly generous box of mostly fibre from a lovely maker in America. She wanted to get rid of some of her stash. And to be honest, my yarn stash is a little bit out of hand, but my fibre stash is non-existent. I pretty much spun most of the fibre that I've ever bought. I have a couple of more special braids left, which I'm saving for when I'm a bit better, more competent, because I bought a couple from Hilltop Katie to kind of get better on before I start messing with things that I can't rebuy. And so she sent me loads of gorgeous fibre, but rather than kind of doing a big acquisition section, I will share it as I spin it up, which might be a long way in the future because I'm a bit scared at the moment to touch it, but I will at some point. But yeah, so I've been a bit lucky this month. I've been sent some lovely parcels, so thank you very much. Yeah. The reason why, by the way, there's a blanket behind me is because there's actually an engine underneath it and it was too heavy for me to move and it was really ugly, so ignore the big patchwork blanket behind me. And the last thing I want to share today is some sewing. And they aren't new projects, but they are mended projects. So I said last time that I wanted to work on fixing some projects that I had made and wasn't totally happy with. And so rather than sewing new garments, I wanted to fix up the ones that I'd already started. So hopefully I have taken a photo of me wearing this so you can actually see it on me. I'll put a photo of how it looked before. And hopefully I now have a photo of how it looks now. And this is a hack of the, I'm just doing up the buttons to hold it up, the Athena Blouse with the Hinterland Dress skirt. I'm just doing it up. So when I initially made it, because the blouse has quite a lot of positive ease in the bust, it looked really, I thought, really baggy and sacky and made me look still pregnant. And I was really sad because it isn't really what I wanted. I had, in my head, I had the idea that it'd be a really lovely high neck, button front, sort of poofy sleeved dress that'd be perfect for breastfeeding, but also good for afterwards when I'm no longer having that stage of my life. In a really nice check linen from Bawn Textiles, which was £20 a metre. Sharing that because I have a love for Merchant Mills, but it's gone a bit too expensive, so this was a bit more affordable. Still a lot of money, but affordable. So yeah, I wasn't happy how it turned out. It didn't look how I imagined it would, and I shared last time, and you guys gave me lots of lovely ideas about what to do, and I was kind of in two minds about doing what was easiest and what would look best, because I have very limited making time at the moment. And yeah, so, but in the end I persevered. I detached the top from the skirt and I put in I think darts in 6 places, or 4 darts, but took it in under the arms as well. So there's a dart from here to here, here to here, a bit further up on the back, there to there, and there to there. and I also took it in under the arms on the side seams. So I took it in 6 places and took it in quite a bit. It is still very loose and it's still quite got quite a lot of positive ease. And if I'm honest, I don't totally love it. It's still not how I imagined it would look, but I do now wear it and I am enjoying wearing it. It's very comfortable on my body at the moment. And I think I probably, if I was to have another baby, could probably wear it for the first chunk of being pregnant, because of where the seam is. So I just have to check when I hear a noise that it's not. No, he's still fast asleep. That it could still be worn for that. It's got pockets. And the only change I made from the Athena Blouse pattern is that rather than doing cuffs, I did it with elastic, so it's it has more give. If I was going to make this again, I would make the sleeves longer because they come just under the elbow for me, and so when I move around they go up the elbow, and I find that a bit annoying, like they almost sit on the elbow. I would rather it kind of came down and sat naturally more like here, and I think I'd find that more comfortable, so that's probably what I would do next time, as I'd lengthen it. I lengthened the sleeve bit probably 1.5 inches, so I could turn it over to make a channel for the elastic rather than using the cuff section. Yeah, and then I cropped it around the same distance from the shoulder to the waist as in the Hinterland dress. I kind of measured and used that as a guide of where to cut it off. So the top pattern is. So yeah, that was my hack. And so very wearable now. I've worn it a few times. And then the last thing I mended was this Hinterland dress. So I made this back in April, and I shared before that I put poppers on it using a popper tool that my partner made. Let this be a lesson to you. He is amazing at making things, but the popper tool was no good. And so the poppers, they did do up, but they didn't click in properly. I'm not really sure why. And so you kind of basically looked at it and it flew open. And the idea was for it to be easy to do up and undo whilst feeding out in public. And so it didn't really do that job. And so this was fabric that I bought from Blackbird Fabrics in Canada in a huge sale. So the discount basically made up for the cost of the postage. And it's a brushed cotton. So it's really, really soft. And I thought it'd be really good for the autumn with the baby. I did want to wear it in the early spring, late winter last year whilst I was pregnant, but I didn't finish it in time. I started in January, but I was still feeling rubbish and I didn't finish it. And because of the way the weave of the fabric is, I didn't cut it out totally straight and it's a little bit wonky. And I shared it was a bit of a hot mess when I made it because I was feeling terrible. I really shouldn't have made it. And it looks like I ignored some of my chalk crosses to mark which was the wrong side of the fabric. Luckily it doesn't matter because both sides of the fabric look the same. But anyway, because of the botched job I did of cutting the fabric out, I didn't have enough fabric to remake both plackets. So what I did was I unpicked the top placket where they would have the buttonholes, and I made a new one and attached it with the buttonholes. And on the other side, I prized off the poppers, which left a load of holes. So on one side I put some cotton ribbon, and on the other side I put bias binding to cover up the holes, because if I only did something on one side, there would still be like a frayed edge around a hole, which would eventually over time, I imagine, fray and get worse. And when I put my buttonholes in, sadly they were not very centralised on the placket, not all the way down, which means that they're not very centralised on the other side, so that looks a bit messy. And I think, like, the fabric obviously isn't cut straight, so I don't know if you can see it's not level at the bottom. So sadly I don't think it's completely done. I think I'm going to have to unpick the side that's a bit longer at some point and trim it off and re-hem it. But if I'm honest, I'm not doing that anytime soon. I'm just going to wear it, probably for this winter. And realistically I might never do it. I don't think people are going to really stare down here, so I'm hoping it won't be that noticeable. But I really want to start wearing it, so it's definitely not perfect. And that's why I've not really done up the last button, because I'm hoping it makes it less noticeable. The other thing is, when I was doing the buttonholes, I missed one. And so this one, because I'll probably never undo it all the way to the bottom, I've actually stitched it all the way through to make it less noticeable that I missed that buttonhole. So someone said to me last time that they liked me showing the mistakes because it shows that even someone with some experience making things makes mistakes, and definitely I make mistakes like all the time. Especially at the moment when I don't have all the time in the world to make things like I used to. But you know, I'm embracing that. There's other things going on which makes the time I do have to make things a lot more precious and worthwhile. Do wish there was a bit more time to do some making, but you know, it's fine. I'm trying to come to terms with it. So that's kind of everything I've been making and getting up to. Yeah, not that much if I'm honest. Which kind of brings me to a bit of like live chat, channel chat, video chat. I'm definitely finding as the baby gets older, I'm having less and less time to really focus on things. Knitting basic things isn't so bad because I can pick them up and put them down, like socks and things like that. But you know, I have a lot of knitted socks. I don't need millions more knitted socks. So my past pattern of doing a video once a fortnight, I don't think is going to be that interesting for you guys because he's starting to wake. I'm going to have to record this bit later. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't think that I'm going to be able to spend enough time or invest enough time in my making and creativity to warrant doing a video once a fortnight now. So I think I'm going to gear more towards doing one once a month and doing like a monthly update. I might even sort of name them after the month. So I'm thinking this will be October's update as it's the start of November. And maybe that more seasonal monthly approach will make it a bit more interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I hope I can still share a video once a month. That sounds realistically feasible, but the reality is I'm not really sure. Yeah, I am finding it a bit hard not having any time for myself. I do, but it's just in really small chunks of time. He's only napping for like 20 minutes at a time at the moment. The 40 minutes I had to record the video was quite a long stint, and that's because we were up all night and he went to a sensory class this morning, which probably wore him out. So I got a bit longer. But yeah, I'm also thinking that because of the weather and the winter coming in and getting darker, it gives me less opportunity to record videos because I've got to wait for a time where he's asleep during the day where it's sunny and not too dark because of the quality of the light, which kind of doesn't give me very many opportunities. So I'm thinking I might invest in a ring light, but I've never bought one of those before and I don't want to just buy a cheap one. So I'm going to save up to buy maybe a decent one. If anyone has any recommendations because they've used one, please do let me know. I don't know whether it's one of those things where it doesn't matter whether you spend £20 or £60 or £100, it's kind of the same thing. I don't know. But let me know what you think. And if you did want to support the channel in any way, I am on Ko-Fi, so if you want to support with donating a cup of coffee, feel free there. Coffee life is a big thing at the moment because it gives me an excuse to leave the house and not be at home, so you know, feel free. Very much appreciated. Or I do have a pattern wish list on Ravelry if you want to support the channel in that way by donating a pattern that's on my wish list. That would also be much appreciated. Or if you just want to share my video, my Instagram page, or you know, follow or like or comment or anything, that all really helps, especially if I'm going to move away from doing once a fortnight videos to once a month. That's the kind of thing the algorithm really hates. And yeah, the more you share my video, the more people watch it, and the little bit more ad revenue I get, and the faster I'll be able to buy one of these ring light things and extend my ability to record later in the day. Anyway, I better go because the baby needs me. So thank you for watching. I hope you're all doing really well, and I will hopefully speak to you next month with another update. Thanks, bye.